Okay. So here, when you're faced with this kind of question, a 42-year-old male underwent transurethral resection of the bladder mass, revealing a biopsy result of a high-grade urothelial carcinoma, invasion to the muscle layer. What would be the next action plan? Christine Marquez. Hello, Christine. Are you there? Christine Joy Marquez. Okay, Dana. Dana Therese Quebral. What will be your next action plan? Hello? Hello, Dana? Okay, Marie Lizelle Ras. Marie Lizelle. How about Paulo? Hello? Paulo? Yes, Maria Angela.
Doc, yung answer ko po here would be C po. Radical cystectomy with ileal conduit.
Okay. Actually, that's the right answer. But additional analysis for this kind of question. If you notice, if the diagnosis is a cancer, so the first thing that you have to do always is to stage it in any kind of cancer from head to foot. So how do you stage it? We call it clinical staging. So if there are two types of staging a cancer. So it could either be clinical meaning preoperative before you intervene. So the basis will be the TNM, right? So TNM meaning the tumor, the nodal status, and the extent of metastasis. So from the TNM clinical status, it includes the biopsy of the organ involved. Or if there's no biopsy, the imaging studies, the basis of the imaging studies. So actually, the right answer for this kind of question is not provided in these options. The next action plan will be to do a metastatic workup. So it follows always. When you have a diagnosis, uh, before intervention, you have to check all the tests given if meaning if there's a need to do that metastatic workup because it will matter as to the treatment process also. So in this question, it's not given. So ang provided lang treatment options immediately. Pero in an ideal situation, given this kind of question, it should be if there's a need to request for a CT scan or bone scan or PET scan, so that will be the answer. Metastatic workup. So given the stage of this is a T2 stage. There's no uh, there's no data regarding the nodal extent and the metastasis of the disease entity. So if this is a local invasion, standard treatment will be actually radiation is also part of the standard treatment for this patient. Uh, but it is ideal for high-risk patients. Another option would be if the location of the tumor is accessible to a partial cystectomy, then there's a need to do a random biopsy in the different sites of the bladder to make sure that it is negative for cancer. So the last answer, the systemic chemotherapy, this can be given either as a neoadjuvant, meaning prior to a surgery, or as an adjuvant treatment after the surgery. So this could complement also cases wherein you're dealing with a high-grade type of bladder cancer, or this can be given in cases of stage 4 bladder cancer. Okay, next. So here, this is just a recall. So what urothelial tumor histologic type is associated with urinary stone disease? Angela. Angela Santos. Okay. How about Xavier Beltran?
Doc, would it be squamous cell carcinoma po?
Can you speak louder, please?
Doc, squamous cell carcinoma po.
Squamous cell carcinoma, that's right. So, in urothelial tumor, the most common still 90% of the time to 95% of the time will be a transitional cell carcinoma. So adenocarcinoma is either primary or metastatic. If it's primary, mainly it's urachal in origin. If it's metastatic, it's colon in origin. It happens in 5% of the time. The glandular is the most rare type of bladder carcinoma, while the squamous cell carcinoma is usually associated with chronic exposure to urinary tract infection. So this can be due either to presence of a bladder stone or a foreign body such as the catheter. So you're right, the squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, here. So here is a case of a BPH or of a prostate tumor. So what will be the treatment of choice for a 59-year-old male? You're familiar with the IPSS, right? You've encountered it sa lectures or sa textbook. International Prostate Symptom Score. And then you have a 60-gram prostate. So diagnosed with adenocarcinoma of the prostate, the clinical stage is T1C, meaning T1C is it's a diagnosis wherein there's just an elevation of the PSA that prompted the physician to do a biopsy. So there's no symptoms, there's no physical examination findings abnormal. So it's just an elevated tumor marker. So that's why it's T1C. And then the specific histologic label is the Gleason sum is 6. So with PSA, the PSA of this patient is slightly elevated. It's 5 nanograms per ml. The normal is 4. So what treatment will you provide, Cherish? Cherish? John Clarence? John? Mariah, Joshua, Joshua Anes, yes, Paulo.
And Doc, letter B po, radical prostatectomy po.
So what's the clinical stage of this patient?
Stage 2 po, Doc.
Stage 2. Why stage 2?
Yung sa Gleason sum po. And
Oo.
yung T1C po.
Okay. And then you have to include the PSA also as a parameter when you try to do that clinical staging. So your answer is letter B as in boy or letter C as in Charlie?
Boy po, Doc. B.
Boy. So you're right with that. This is a localized malignancy. So stage 2 being localized, other treatment options includes active surveillance and radiation treatment. Radiation treatment can either be a brachytherapy, more localized kind of radiation treatment, or the external beam radiation treatment. The letter A, the transurethral resection of the prostate, this is a management for a benign kind of prostate, benign tumor. Remember, when we are talking about tumors, you're not sure yet if it's malignant or benign. So if you have a case of a mass, either a mass on the head, on the breast, you may safely label it as a breast tumor or uh, not a mass, because breast mass is not a diagnosis. It's a physical examination finding. So TURP sometimes, or transurethral resection of the prostate, sometimes this can be done in cases wherein the patient is symptomatic for that enlarged prostate, but it's not enough to treat a cancer. So usually for cases of metastatic cancer stage 4, wherein hormonal treatment is the standard care, either hormonal meaning it's either surgical or medical. I always tell my patients, what is the breast to females? It is the prostate for the males. Why? Part of the treatment of breast sometimes is hormonal treatment. So sometimes they do removal of ovaries as part of the treatment. So the counterpart for that for the prostate is hormonal, also hormonal control for metastatic, then orchiectomy. So it's like that, the analogy. Now the letter C, radical prostatectomy with pelvic lymphadenectomy, as mentioned a while ago by Paulo, that the Gleason sum is 6 and then the PSA is 5. So if you'll see your table, if you'll see the table and try to see the risk of the patient, if the patient is low risk, intermediate, high risk, the patient is classified into a low to intermediate risk. So meaning there's no chance of lymph node metastasis. So it is quite radical to do concomitant pelvic lymphadenectomy, because sometimes it is a very morbid kind of procedure also, wherein you expect some form of lymph edema after the procedure. So you have to be sure about the extent of your surgery. And then letter D, as I mentioned, this is more appropriate for cases of stage 4 kind of malignancy of the prostate. Okay, so this is just a recall again. Which accounts for the most common of non-germ cell tumors of the testis? Eliza, Bakayana, Eliza,
Doc, for this po, it's letter C, Leydig cell tumors po.
okay, that's right. If you analyze the options, 3 of them are germ cell tumors, right? So by elimination, seminoma is the most common type of non-germ cell tumors. Lymphoma is a germ cell tumor also. For non-seminomatous, it's the embryonal carcinoma. So by elimination, it's Leydig. That's right. Okay, here another recall. So what is the most common testicular tumor in infants and children? Dana, are you there na? Ryan, Lewalen, Ryan, Macy, Ostoy, Angelo Palima. Okay, Angelo. Angelo Castillo.
Doc, yolk sac tumor po.
Pardon?
Doc, yolk sac tumor po, letter D.
Okay, you're right about that yolk sac tumor. So the yolk sac is an embryonal type of a tumor which can either be adult or a yolk sac. It is the most common non-seminomatous germ cell tumor. As I mentioned, seminoma, the most common. If you'll notice, when you request for those tumor markers, the alpha fetoprotein and beta HCG, for seminoma, it's normal. So it doesn't rule out, even with normal tumor markers, doesn't rule out still. So when you notice in urology, there are pathognomonic signs and symptoms that you will encounter. For bladder cancer, it's painless gross hematuria. So unless proven otherwise, bladder malignancy is the primary impression. For the prostate cancer, uh, Jenny Pastor, what is the pathognomonic sign or symptom? Jenny Pastor, Jenny, Jezreel, Pinyon, Alessandra Rojas. What's the pathognomonic sign or symptoms for the prostate cancer? Christine Reyes, Christine, Franchi. Rollo. O Frankie. So in prostate cancer, more than half of the time it's asymptomatic. So most of the time it's due to an elevation of the PSA, the tumor marker. So for the testicular cancer, pathognomonic will be the painless testicular nodule. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Okay, here. So what is the cause of soft papillomatous growths generally considered to be benign, usually seen at the glans penis, penile shaft, and prepuce, and associated with cervical dysplasia and cervical CA. So here, when you have a very long statement or of questions, you try to see the keywords or keyword in this kind of question. What's the key here? Here, the cervical CA. So, what's the answer here? A, B, C, D. Maria Angela San Juan. Yes, Philip.
Doc,
Sige, sige. Doc, that would be condyloma acuminatum, letter A.
Okay. If you try to see A, B, C, D, if you've narrowed down your answer to condyloma, so your dilemma would be, is it acuminatum or latum? So that's why I mentioned about the keyword kanina, cervical CA. It's the acuminatum. And then between the two, latum, if you try to eliminate latum, latum is the picture of latum is usually ulcerated as compared to the acuminatum. So if you narrow down your answers to between the two, so condyloma lesions are benign in nature with cauliflower-like appearance. So they are believed to be viral in nature, and this HPV is implicated as a risk factor for cervical malignancy in that's why in females, they provide vaccine for this. So the balanitis serotica obliterans is a white patch originating on the prepuce or glans, and then it usually involves the meatus. This condition is mostly observed in middle-aged diabetic patients. So diabetic patients is the keyword for the balanitis. The leukoplakia is a rare condition, most commonly occurs in diabetic patients also. So they have a common thing, the letter B and letter D. So what will set them apart? It's a white plaque, typically involving the meatus. Histologic examination reveals acanthosis, hyperkeratosis, and parakeratosis. So this lesion may precede or occur simultaneously with penile carcinoma. So this is a pre-malignant lesion, the leukoplakia. The latum, as I mentioned, the picture is ulcerated. It's a painless cutaneous manifestation of syphilis. So the other one is cervical CA, the other one is syphilis, the latum. Okay. Okay, here. Another case. So don't be overwhelmed when there's the question is that long. You just try to figure out the keywords. Okay? So here we have a 38-year-old male presented with hard painless lump in his right testicle. So I mentioned to you already regarding the pathognomonic. So for the testis, it's painless nodule. So a few days prior to consultation. So physical examination showed a well circumscribed lump approximately 3 cm in widest diameter, firm, non-tender on the right testicle. So a scrotal ultrasound revealed intratesticular mass on the right testis. What will be your next recommendation for the patient? So in the examination of the testicle, an extension of your physical examination will be the ultrasound. So again, if you follow the algorithm, you have the history, you have the physical examination finding, you have a diagnosis already. Although it's not clear here, it was not stated what's the exact diagnosis, pero nakaano lahat that all roads lead to a testicular tumor. Okay, so given that you have a diagnosis, what's next?
Doc,
Yes,
letter B
who's
po.
this?
San Juan po.
Okay, Angela. Sorry. Your first name?
Maria Angela po.
Maria Angela. Okay. What's your answer, Angela?
Letter B po.
Yes, letter B. Why? What's your plan?
For me po kasi, Doc, like what you said po kanina sa number 1, yung rationale ko po for choosing that is para din po mas ma-check po kung ano yung type of cancer po, like metastatic workup also.
Yes, pero what's the reason behind requesting for letter B, the AFP? You're right about the answer, but yung prior to a metastatic workup, what do you want?
Yung mga laboratory parameters po ba, Doc? Yung mga markers, biomarkers that may be elevated.
Mm-hmm. How about the others?
Doc, can I try po?
Yes, please.
Doc, letter C po.
Letter
Yung-
C,
Opo.
as in Charlie.
Opo, Doc.
Why?
Kasi po usually po, di ba po, Doc, yung testicular cancer po, nagsa-spread early. So, parang hindi po siya recommended na mag-biopsy na po si patient. Tapos po, yung ano po kasi niya, usually po, yung intratesticular mass po sa ultrasound po, until proven otherwise, Doc, di ba po parang malignant po yung usually kino-consider po natin.
Okay. So actually both of you are right. Pero if you'll follow the algorithm, it was mentioned by Angela. Pero ang reason why do we request for those tumor markers? It's like prostate, 'di ba? Ang tumor marker ng prostate is PSA. So it is used for screening, it is used for monitoring. So for testicular tumors, you're not yet you can actually provide a clinical diagnosis on the basis of your tumor markers. Kung nabasa nyo rin sa Smiths, may table doon wherein AFP and beta HCG, if they are normal and you have a testicular mass, seminoma is the impression. But if the AFP is elevated and you have a normal beta HCG, what is the next educated impression? It's a non-seminomatous tumor. Ang non-seminomatous ngayon, how can you narrow it down? Doon tayo sa most common. Ano yung most common non-seminomatous? Embryonal. Okay? So that's how you come up with a diagnosis sa testicular cancer. So Charmaine is right also. specific diagnosis pagka tinanggal yung testicle. But prior to removal of the testicle, that's one reason you can provide an initial impression. If the beta HCG is elevated and you have a normal AFP, the primary impression is the choriocarcinoma, because it's only in choriocarcinoma where beta HCG is elevated. Now, what's the other use of that other than providing an initial impression? After removal of the testicle, you need to monitor your tumor markers. Once it is elevated preoperative, then you will because testicular orchiectomy can either be diagnostic or therapeutic. Because if it's a low stage testicular cancer, it can be therapeutic. So the next thing to do is monitor. So how do you monitor? Using the tumor markers. It's the same thing with prostate. PSA is used for screening. Then once you provide treatment, you again use PSA to monitor your treatment. Did you get the idea? Did you get the idea?
Yes po,
Because
Doc.
because
Yes, po.
sometimes it happens also some cases wherein nami-miss out yung request ng tumor markers. It ended up doing an orchiectomy. But intra-op, you can still do determination. How? So during the procedure, once you remove the testicle, you can immediately do the blood extraction. That is the best time. So I have to remind you also to try to see the half-life of those tumor markers we're discussing from the PSA, AFP, because they are the most common questions also asked. Nag-ano na kayo, di ba, sa pato? Sa pato, you've discussed different tumor markers from CEA, sa colon, sa urology. Ayun, ang pinaka-most common na use na tumor markers. We're always interested in the half-life because we try to see when is the best time to request to have a repeat of that. Kasi you don't want a false positive result because of too soon extraction of those tumor markers. Okay, here the abdominal pelvic CT scan answer, there's no role of abdominal pelvic CT scan unless you have a diagnosis already, because you're trying to see the extent of the nodal metastasis. Because remember, the root of metastasis, lymph nodes of testicular tumors can go as high as the paracaval and para-aortic areas. That's why up to the area of the lungs. So that's why chest CT scan. So when you have a heavy burden of nodal metastasis in the abdomen, it would be proper to request for a chest CT also. Okay. Charmaine is right that you don't do needle biopsy in testicular masses. Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, this is another case. So here, you have a 69-year-old male seen at the clinic due to complaints of obstructive voiding symptoms. So if you've encountered lower urinary tract symptoms in your readings, they can be further divided into obstructive or irritative voiding symptoms, because it follows in the International Prostate Symptom Score, or IPSS. For this patient, the score is 18. The quality of life is 4. So you have to be familiar what's the meaning of the score of 18 and what's the meaning of score of 4. Merong counterpart na ano yan, definition. So the physical examination revealed an enlarged prostate of 50 grams, firm, non-tender, with a PSA level of 3.99 nanograms per ml. So what would be the appropriate management in this case? So before you think of the management, you have to come up with your impression first in this question. So based on this data, Sophia Ruiz, what's your impression before we go into the management? What's your impression here? Sophia Rubibis, sorry. O Sophia Ruiz. Wala.
Hello, Doc. Can I be heard?
Yes, what's your impression? What's the diagnosis?
For this case po, for the 69-year-old, possible po na may diagnosis yung completion, complete obstructive voiding. Possible po na BPH po siya.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Actually, you're right about without the word possible. It's really BPH based on those data provided because up to the PSA, it was given already. So knowing the normal value of the PSA, 4 nanograms per ml, what you have is 3.99. Then you have a complete focus digital rectal examination that it looks normal also. There's no nodule or induration. So it's BPH. Now, if it's BPH, you are provided with IPSS also. So the 18, what's the meaning of the 18, score 18 in IPSS? Philip Cardenas. Philip, what's 18? Heidi Tan?
Ano po, moderate to severe po na symptoms.
Oh, which is which? Moderate, severe?
Moderate po.
Okay. Sige. Kasi ang mild symptoms, it's 0 to what?
Doc, can I answer po? Si Philip po.
Okay, Philip.
Mild is 0 to 7 po. Tapos moderate is 18 to 19 and severe is 20 to 35.
Okay. So that's right. So based on that score, you have an idea already. Moderate symptoms. Okay. What's next? The quality of life. What is 4? I intentionally did not put there the equivalent of 4 so that you could try to look it up.
Doc.
So what is 4?
Doc, 4 is dissatisfied po.
Okay. Dissatisfied, that's right. So if you'll combine that, you have a moderate symptoms and dissatisfied patient. And then the physical examination, it's normal. The PSA is normal. So BPH. Now, you have a diagnosis already. Now, let's go to the management. So that's the question, the management ngayon. So based on that, what would be your answer? Ethelbert? Ethelbert. Galicia. SI to, no? Wala. Ivan. Yara. Yes, Angelo. What's your
Doc,
answer?
Doc, since ano po Doc, more than 30 grams na po yung enlarged prostate, we can, ano po,
Pardon? What letter?
letter B po Doc. Since
B
30
as
grams
in bog
boy po,
or D as in doy?
boy po,
Doy.
B,
So,
boy po Doc.
start on combined medication.
Yes po Doc.
Why? Why that letter B?
Doc, since more than 30 grams na po yung prostate, it's recommended po na to proceed na po with combination therapy po Doc.
Okay. So you're right about that, Angelo. So if you'll try to go back to the lecture again for BPH, the management starts with observation. Again, it depends on the symptoms of the patient. So by elimination, you do away with observation for this case. So the next line will be medical treatment. So for medical treatment, what do you have here? The tamsulosin, the combination, and then letter C, alpha blocker, and then advised by you. So based on our assessment a while ago, we're not thinking about cancer, so you could do away with letter C. Letter D, definitely, you haven't started yet with medication, so you could eliminate D. So your choices will be letter A and B. So between the two, Angelo is right because the size of the prostate here is provided. For 30 grams and above prostate that are symptomatic, it is better treated with a combination kind of treatment. The finasteride to further decrease the size of the prostate, and the tamsulosin, the alpha blocker, to provide smooth muscle relaxation. So tama, letter B as in boy. So that's how you analyze questions, huh? Okay. Here, actually recall lang itong question na ito. This is not doesn't need analysis. An absolute, if you're familiar, we have at least 4 absolute indications in doing TURP. So TURP meaning the diagnosis is a BPH. So what's the absolute indication? A 50-gram prostate as reported by ultrasound. The IPSS of 20. So 20 is severe already, 20 and above. Quality of life assessment 3. 3 is partly satisfied, partly dissatisfied. You have an elevated PSA and a recurrent urinary tract infection. So what's the answer, Joaquin Valencia? Joaquin? Erin Villanueva.
Doc, letter D po.
Who's this? Erin. What's the answer?
Recurrent urinary tract infection po.
Okay, you're right about that. Kasi you could eliminate letter A. Be careful. There are patients who will go to you and then will show to you ultrasound result of a prostate of 80 grams, 30 grams. So you don't decide management based on the size of the prostate. You decide management on a benign prostate based on the symptom score of the patient and your physical examination findings. So eliminate letter A. Letter B, this is a severe severe symptoms, partly satisfied and dissatisfied. So you still have a room to start medical treatment for this patient. So this is not absolute. And definitely, letter C is not the answer, because the answer here is you do a biopsy. Or actually nowadays, we request for a multi-parametric MRI of the prostate. Again, as I mentioned a while ago, the counterpart of prostate to breast, the counterpart for that for females is the mammography. Although they do MRI of the breast also nowadays, but that's the usage of the MRI of the prostate. So we try to be more precise as to the location of the apparent abnormal lesion, MRI, if you have an elevated PSA. Okay, here, which of the following patients would be a candidate for percutaneous biopsy of renal mass? So these are one of the, other than the prostate, one of the very few indications when we do percutaneous biopsy of renal masses, because sa books, renal masses 80% of the time are considered malignant unless proven otherwise. We base our diagnosis based on the imaging study with contrast. So here, what's the answer, Joshua? Anes. Yes, Xavier. Xavier,
For this po, it would be letter B po.
can you
Boy.
speak louder, please? Can you tell us your answer? Can you read the ano?
The answer would be boy po, a 38-year-old woman with a fever, UTI, and a 5 centimeter solid enhancing renal mass.
Okay. What's your diagnosis here? Why are you when you do a biopsy, you have an impression already prior to biopsy, because the patient won't accept any kind of intervention. Even polycatheterization, you have to explain to the patient why are you doing catheterization. And the more here, you're trying to puncture something sa kidney. So what will you tell the patient? Why are you trying to do a biopsy? Yes, Xavier?
We want to rule out po if it's benign or malignant po.
Yun lang. Kung benign siya, anong consideration mo? Anong impression mo kung benign siya? Hmm? Here, you're trying to rule out presence of an abscess. You have a summarized picture of the clinical manifestation of the patient having fever and UTI. So sometimes yung renal malignancy or the renal abscess can mimic a renal malignancy. So decisions are made sometimes kasi this can be therapeutic, not just diagnostic. When this is truly an abscess, then you could drain it once you puncture it. So the other choices, letter A, this is already an 88-year-old patient with high risk status, angina. 2 cm, you could still observe that 2.5 cm and below masses. Then option C, 45-year-old man with 5 cm solid enhancing renal mass with fat density. So here, letter C, the key here is the fat density, wherein the most common diagnosis for this is an angiomyolipoma. So it can CT scan or even ultrasound can clearly describe it. So ano ang angiomyolipoma? Vascular, with muscle, with fat. So it can be clearly described by ultrasound and CT scan. The option D here is a complex renal cyst. The key word here is the classification 4. For renal cysts, most of the renal cysts are benign. But be careful also when you're faced with a specific label of classification 3 and 4, because classification 3, 50% of that, there's a 50% chance of malignancy. So what more is classification 4? If you're sure about that it is malignant, you don't do a percutaneous biopsy. Okay? So let's proceed. Siguro 2 more questions. Oh, here, recall na lang ito. Who will volunteer? Recall na lang ito. Yes, Paulo. What's your answer?
Letter A po, transition zone po.
Yon. So parang bonus question na ito eh. Ha? So the rest, cancer, where does cancer originate? If you know the BPH, where it originates, how about the cancer? Where does it originate?
Doc, peripheral zone po.
Where?
Peripheral zone.
Okay, peripheral zone. Very good. Okay. Next, when do you forgo doing digital rectal examination? In urology, hindi ko alam kung dumaan na ba kayo sa akin sa precept. May dumaan na, hindi pa yata ako nakapag-precept this year. Meron na few groups that na nag-precept. Ako kasi temporarily I'm off sa precept. It's a mortal sin not to do a rectal examination in urology. At least for male patients, kasi we do handle female patients also. But in general, in surgery, lahat na nag-abdominal pain, they always tell you that you have to do a rectal examination, right? So now, there are also absolute contraindications. So anong answer dito? Camille, Antonio. Jade, Aranda. Come on, kaya niyo yan. This is a trick question lang. Isabella. Yes,
Doc,
Dana.
po.
Yes, Dana.
Hello po, Doc. Am I heard po?
Anong letter?
Letter B po, Doc Boy.
So what's that?
Acute prostatitis po.
Okay, you're right. So that's when kaya nga I kept on emphasizing a while ago, you should have an impression always, working impression. Pero it should be educated impression, not just a guess. So here, if you're considering that kind of diagnosis, it's a no-no to do a rectal examination. Chronic prostatitis, yes, you could still do with urethral catheter. Mas lalo na yung letter D, high suspicion of prostate cancer. You have to do a rectal examination. Another reason will be patient is you will later encounter cases of abdominoperineal resection. So patients who underwent that kind of procedure, definitely wala silang anus. So you cannot do rectal examination. Okay? Last one question siguro. Okay, this is a recall also. So the imaging of choice in cases of hematuria associated with BPH. What's your answer? Matthew. I know your dad. Matthew. Where are you? John. Yes, Marie Lizelle.
Doc, ultrasound of the kidneys, urinary bladder, and prostate po.
Okay. Ang keyword dito kasi ay hematuria eh. Ang keyword. Ang hematuria, unless na it is not contraindicated, what's the contraindication? If you have an elevated creatinine or decreased estimated GFR. So the ideal imaging modality will always be contrast-induced imaging. So here, your choices will be intravenous pyelography or computed tomography urogram. So still, up to this day, the modality of choice will be a CT with IV contrast. If you're faced with an elevated creatinine, then ultrasound can be an option, or that letter D, yung cystourethropy retrograde pyelography, a direct installation of contrast through the urinary tract. So letter C ang sagot dito. Okay? So I guess it's 9 o'clock already. May lecture si Dr. Sunga. So I request you to focus on the slides that was provided sa Canvas para in my end, yung sa topic ko, I will just work on those slides sa questions. Okay? So, thank you for your kind attention and good luck sa exam.
Thank you po, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
Yeah, thank you also.